Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to get started in just a moment. But before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick sound check. Looks like we have a lot of attendees. Is everybody hearing my voice? Can someone just type into the chat box that they are hearing my voice? Just let me know in the chat box that you're in the GoToWebinar control panel that you're hearing my voice. Great, good. And now I'm gonna, sounds good. Okay, got lots of people who are hearing my voice. I'm going to advance the slides here. Hold on a second. Are people seeing my slides change? This is the video check, just to make sure that people are seeing the video check. People see those slides change? Can you also tell me that? No. Okay, hold on a second. Let's try it one more time. So right now it should say how to systemize your business, 5 steps to freedom and control. I just changed the slide. People seeing that slide change? Dan, are you on the call? Are you live? Are you seeing the changes happening?
Nothing.
Oh, that's why. I know. That's why I do this. Okay, now they should start changing.
Beautiful. Yep.
You know, it's that's why we do a sound check. It's sort of funny. I went through a presentation once. It was about 45 minutes into an hour-long presentation, and somebody said, "Are your slides supposed to be changing?" And I'd forgotten to set the screen off pause. So, okay, I think we're good to go. Dan, why don't you kick us off?
All righty. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Pistretto. I'm an eMyth coach, a sales, branding, and marketing consultant, and I'm a third-generation landscape contractor and horticulturalist. And I'd like to welcome you all to the Winter Business Development Workshop for landscape contractors. The workshop is based on the principles of the business development used as the thesis to Michael Gerber's book, The eMyth Revisited. In it, he talks about your business as a reflection of you. He goes on to describe how a business run on systems can be developed and replicated to fulfill your vision and deliver consistently on your brand promise. Michael Mills is here today to talk about systems, their vital nature to the success of your business, and how the ease of employee access determines use and ultimately the success of your systems. Michael was an eMyth coach for 17 years before starting the Touchstone Business Platform, and I'm really pleased that he's a part of the Business Development Workshop this winter. Take it away, Michael.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Dan. Let's begin with a situation. Do any of you have, and this is a bit of a rhetorical question, however, today we're going to be doing a lot of interaction, so hopefully everybody knows where they can put in information. But do any of you have any key people in your organization that if they left today, it would be a setback? I mean, just imagine, think of a key person in your organization, other than yourself, although that's also important. But imagine if you had a key person that left today, would it be a setback? Picture that person and imagine they give their notice today. Tomorrow, they are gone. What would that be like? What would that feel like? Just imagine, what would that feel like? Okay. Now, what if you had the procedures in place to make it fairly painless to hire a new employee for that position and get them up to speed quickly and efficiently? You had a hiring system, a training system, and a way to manage a new employee. Now, how would that feel? And I ask this because this is what it means to systemize your business. How you do things is carefully thought out and documented, implemented, and innovated. And as a result, you get a business that's so much easier to manage, it's easier to scale, and it's more valuable. Okay, so I'm sure most of you already know this. The challenge is how. How do you do this? How do you systemize your business so things can be trained, delegated consistently, so you can scale your business without consuming you and your people? That's what we're going to be focusing on today. So my name is Michael Mills. I'm one of the founders of Business Design Corporation. As Dan said, our company has been a group of master certified eMyth consultants for 17 years. We delivered Michael's eMyth mastery program to many hundreds of businesses. What we found was that while we were delivering great business theory, very few of our mastery clients were actually getting their procedures and job descriptions documented. It was the tactical part of the mastery program. But in our minds, this was the very point, the foundation of the eMyth Mastery Program. Michael Gerber's books have sold millions of copies around the world. Almost everyone we speak with has read the book, but they've not been able to systemize their business. As an example of this, not long ago, I was a keynote speaker at a conference for State Farm insurance agents. There were 300 entrepreneurs who owned insurance agencies in the hall. I'm up on stage, I'm talking about systemization, and I said, hold it a second. How many of you in the room have read Michael Gerber's books? Now, Michael did a big event for State Farm, so almost everybody in the room put their hand up. And then I asked them all, keep your hand raised if you've been able to systemize your business. And almost every single hand was lowered. In fact, let's try it now. I'm going to actually launch a poll. I'm interested to know how many of you have heard about Michael Gerber? Yeah, I've listened to him. You know about him? Sort of. I've heard about him. No. Oh, wow. This is very interesting. We've got 40% of the people here know about Michael, 20% sort of, and 40% not familiar. That's very interesting. So 60% of us have not actually heard Michael speak or really read his book. So let me close this poll. And I'm going to open up a second one of these. So the next poll is the importance or need for documented procedures. How many of you know you need documented procedures? So yes, I need them. Unsure, don't know why I would need them, or no, I don't need them. Okay, so in poll number 2, 91% say, okay, we need them. 8% unsure. Great. That's always a great statistic. Okay, I'm going to close this poll. And I'm going to open one last one. This one is, what is your experience with business process implementation? Tell me, have you been able to implement processes in your business? Or you've tried and you just haven't been able to get them done? Interesting. Okay, so not bad. Almost everybody's voted. Few more. So it's looking like almost 70% of you have tried, and 33% say, great, I have been able to systemize my business. So that's interesting. I mean, to me, I say, well, if you've been able to systemize your business, it's sort of curious why you're on the call, but I appreciate that you are. So let me close this poll, and I'm going to jump to the next slide. Dan, jump in if that slide did not flip, because I never know what's going on with this, with when I've got these polls active. But essentially, right now it looks like 91% of you have heard about, know they need documented procedures, but 70% of you have failed. Why is that? Why is it that almost everyone on this call knows they need systems, but no one has, very few of you, well, 75% of you have been unable to do it? This is not a new concept. When I was in that room with the State Farm Insurance, almost everybody knew they needed processes, but they couldn't do it. Well, we believe there are 2 key reasons why entrepreneurs are unable to systemize their business. The first is the lack of a systems development plan, and the second is the lack of the systems development tool. So we're going to focus today on these 2 key issues, and the reason that we're going to focus on these 2 key issues is because if you can focus on systemizing your business, you'll be able to achieve what we will call true business freedom. And that can look like one of 3 ways. calling in for the numbers from the British Virgin Islands or your favorite vacation spot. So you still own your business, but you're just basically calling in for the numbers. You're acting like the chairman of the board. Number two, you maximize the value of the business so that you can sell it for what it's really worth instead of what someone else is going to pay for it. Or number three, which is a slightly different path, you continue to do what you love doing in your business without having to do all of those things that you don't enjoy doing, knowing full well that those things are getting done well by someone else who actually does like doing that. For those of you who watched the short pre-webinar video, I spoke about this statistic, the retention statistic. I really feel it's worth mentioning again. Studies show that employees retain 18% of what you tell them when you're training them by way of what we call the show and tell method, which is how most people train. They're thinking about other things. They're thinking about a question they want to ask, or they're thinking about the date they had the night before. But what they are not thinking about are the intricacies of what you're telling them. Without a documented procedure, they're going to remember less than a fifth of what you're telling them. And the result? The employee doesn't achieve what is expected of them, and they quit or they get fired. Or worse still, you don't fire them, and there's this huge opportunity cost. There's a guy named Brad Smart who wrote a great book called Top Grading. And he writes that the opportunity cost of a failed hire can be as much as 10 times the value of that employee's salary. But more than anything, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for you, the employer. It's frustrating for the new hire, and it's frustrating for everybody else in your company. Well, what we say is that every frustration in your company is the result of the lack of a system. Either the system isn't written or it's not been implemented. Don't blame the employee. Don't blame yourself. Blame the fact that you don't have a process, a documented set of instructions that someone in that position could follow. A set of instructions that tells them what you need them to do and what you expect of them when they do it. And they need to be able to find these instructions easily, and they need to be current. Documented procedures effectively implemented can dramatically change this employee retention statistic of 18%, which is why you can get a double decaf, half calf, coca, mocha, grande, caramel, cinnamon. I don't even know if this is a real drink, but you could get this drink at a Starbucks in Lethbridge, Alberta, in Cupertino, California, or in Mumbai, India. Anywhere you are in the world, you could get this drink, and it would always taste the same in whichever country you purchase it. I want to take a quick break at this point and say, what is the difference between documented procedures and policy manuals? Because a lot of times when we're speaking to people, they say, oh yeah, I have a policy manual. Most of the time I will tell you that that policy manual is something that they got on the internet and they tweaked it. But there's a difference about what we're talking about here. I think it's important to distinguish between policies and procedures because they're so often tied together. A policy, these are high-level overall plans that embrace the general goals and directives of an organization. So these will be topics dealing with things like employee discipline, decision-making, behavior, dress code, raises and bonuses, harassment, cell phone use, company credit card use, things like that. Procedures, on the other hand, these are the step-by-step instructions with expectations to accomplish whatever it is that needs to be done by every employee in every department of your organization. A company might have a procedure for qualifying a new lead, for example, for doing an initial consultation, for delivering a product or service, for following up, for onboarding a new employee, for collections. These are all procedures. Procedures help employees and managers do what they need to do to be able to achieve consistent and reliable results. So as an example, there was a policy. This is an example of a policy. There was a policy effective at the end of last year. Starbucks announced that it had changed its dress code. So this is a policy, not a procedure. They had announced that it had changed its dress code, and they now allowed employees to show non-offensive visible tattoos. This was a policy around tattoos. So you could have tattoos as long as they were not offensive, and as long as they were not on your face and throat, which is why this guy will not be an employee working at a Starbucks near you anytime soon. On the other hand, an example of a process or a procedure, these would be the detailed steps taken to make a double decaf, half-calf cocoa mocha, grande caramel cinnamon dolce latte. So if I was a barista, or if I was being trained as a barista at a Starbucks anywhere in the world, I would have a documented set of step-by-step instructions on how to make this very complicated concoction. So today the presentation is not focused on policies. That's a whole other presentation. We're focused on procedures because I believe this is what's missing in most small and mid-sized organizations. Again, for those of you who watched the pre-webinar video that we offered, I presented a really, really simple process, a process called How to Answer the Telephone. And I wanted to illustrate to you how simple process development can be, and yet how valuable it can be. It was a really simple process that I reviewed, and if you've got the materials afterward, you can see, wow, this is just not rocket science. But while it's simple, it's not that easy. There can be challenges to creating a process-dependent business. I mean, how do you get your procedures written? You might have hundreds of processes. How do you get them all written? How do you keep them current? How do people find them when they need them? And how do you get your employees to actually follow them? Let's say, for example, that you're writing a sales process and you begin by writing down the detailed sequential workflow. Do this, then do that, then do this. This is what we call a work plan. You might say that that's all there is, right? It's just a clearly written document outlining all of the steps to take. So you write it all up in Microsoft Word, you save it to your network, or you save it in Google Docs or something like that, in SharePoint or Dropbox, and you share it with your sales team. And while you're training them in this new documented procedure, you think, it'd be great if I had a checklist to track each step of that sales process so I could see where my sales team is on each of their projects. So you create a checklist. So now your sales process has this work plan, all the detailed workflow, and a checklist. And you save that on your network, and now you're listening to your sales team deliver this new sales process. And you realize that, a couple of your people are saying really good things, and other people are saying things that are not so great. And so now you think, I should create a script of the best ways to do this, and then I'll workshop it with all my staff. And so you create a script, and you workshop this script with your staff. Now your sales process, it has a work plan, a checklist, and a script. And now's when you begin to think, gosh, where am I going to store all these different Word documents so it'll be easy for my sales guys to find them when they need them? But you sort of think, I'll get to that later. And then you realize your staff it'd be really helpful if you had a proposal document, some sort of easy and consistent way to generate a proposal, and maybe a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet for calculating a very consistent and accurate estimate. And maybe you want to get a training video. Maybe it's a screen recording of the process of creating that proposal, and maybe a sample audio so that they can hear what a great presentation sounds like. Can you see where I'm going with this? Now your sales process, it has a work plan, a checklist, a script, a Word document, a spreadsheet, a training video, an audio recording. A process is rarely as simple as just a clearly written document outlining the steps that need to be taken. That's just not all there is. There's always so much more, and this is what makes it so difficult to implement processes in your business. They get all over the place. They're really difficult to organize. So given there's so much more to it than just a document, how do you organize these different elements for the same process? And if you have a couple of hundred processes, how does your staff find them when they need to use them? And if you have a couple of hundred processes, how do you find them when you want to innovate them to keep them current? How do you make policies and procedures these living, organic documents that are tools that are used in the everyday activities of a business? So many companies know they need this, but so few companies are actually able to do it well. So I say it again. There are two things that you need. You need a systems development plan for getting the processes written, and you need a systems development tool, some sort of an application for making it easy to consistently write and organize the procedures so that they can be kept current and so people can find them when they need them. Let's start with the plan. we've got a 5-step systems development plan. And we use this systems development plan to discover, or you can use the systems development plan to discover, prioritize, document, implement, and manage all of the processes in a business. And there are 5 steps, 5 simple steps. The first step isn't about systems at all. It's about understanding your destination. What is your business going to look like, say, 3 to 5 years from now? I mean, I'm just going to quickly go through this 5-step plan, and then we'll dig into each of the steps. So the first step, it's just, it's about, where am I going? If you don't know where you're going, how are you ever going to get there? Step number 2, you want to create a graphic picture of what that future destination will look like, what will become your org chart, your organization chart. Step number 3, you name the processes that you think are necessary in that future organization. How will you generate sales? How will you deliver on the promise that you made in that sales process? What back office procedures are going to be going on behind the scenes, like hiring, firing, payroll, invoicing, collections, backing up my computers, all of the administrative and financial activities? How will you guide and manage the business from where you are today to where you want to get to? So in this step, you're not actually describing how the process is done. That will come later. In this step, you're just naming what needs to be done. It's really about creating a table of contents of all of the processes in your business. Step number 4, once you've created that table of contents, you'll connect them to the boxes on your organizational chart. So now you've got a list of all the processes, and you've got a graphic representation of all of the positions in your business. You'll connect the two. You've identified everything that needs to be done in the business. You've identified all of the positions that you need in the business. And now you've connected everything that needs to be done to all of the positions. You've created what we call complete functional accountability. Everything that needs to be done is now being done by someone in the business. Step number 5, finally, you're going to prioritize your procedures. Which are the most important ones to get written as soon as possible, and who's going to help you write them? Almost everybody, when I get to this point, every business owner I ever talk to asks me, how long is it going to take me to systemize my business? First of all, it's important to know that systemizing your business, it's not a project. It's a process. And the actual writing of your procedures, it's ongoing. Frankly, this is the bad news, it never ends. And the 5-step systems development plan doesn't get you to the place where all of your processes are written and finished, and that's that. But the good news is that you can get to this incredible place where you've got a complete blueprint of your business in terms of all of its processes, in terms of all of its positions, and you've got complete functional accountability in about 4 to 6 hours. This business systems development plan, the 5-step plan, is designed to create what we call the systemic infrastructure of your business. And again, depending on the complexity and size of your business, it really can be done in 4 to 6 hours, 10 hours at the most. It's a really, really powerful process. At the end of it, you're going to be very clear on your vision. You're going to have a clear understanding of all of the positions and processes that you need to achieve your vision. You've created complete functional accountability. You have position-specific operating manuals for every box on your organizational structure, and you have a prioritized plan for getting all of the processes written. Let's actually jump into the 5-step plan. Let's go into more detail. I just gave you an overview of it there. The first step is to define your destination. What is your business going to look like 5 years from now? This is such a critical step. Studies show that if you do this, and you actually take action and track and communicate the process that you make on your vision, you have a 300% better chance of achieving your goal than if you don't take this step. And yet, so few business owners actually do it. And why do they not do it? In many cases, it's because they don't know how. By the way, in eMyth Mastery, there's a fantastic process for this. Dan can share this with you. It's a fantastic process for taking you through the process of understanding your vision. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Once you have your destination defined, you've got your vision, You want to create a graphic picture of what that business is going to look like organizationally. How many salespeople will I need? How many client fulfillment people will I need? How many back office support people will I need? How many managers will I need? So in step number 2, you actually create this organizational chart of this future business. Ask yourself this question. Do I have an org chart? And the second question would be, is it current? And the third question would be, how do I use my org chart? Because most organizational charts are done following an assignment given to you, the business owner, by a consultant. I know this. I did it for 17 years. There's a great process in the eMyth Mastery Program on how to create an organizational structure. The problem is that it's rare that this org chart is actually used as a strategic growth tool for the business. Usually it's created and it was a great exercise, but then it gets filed away. It gets done in PowerPoint or Excel or on with crayons on a butcher block sheet of paper. But then it doesn't get used. So the question is, how do you use your org chart? Your org chart will help you define all of the positions in your organization. It's going to help you determine who you need to hire next, who they will report to, what will they be doing. It will show you who does what in your organization so you can be sure that everything that needs to be done is being done by someone in the organization. And when something's not going right, then you can actually research to say, well, who's doing that process? This position is doing that process. Who's in that position? Well, Jeff is in that position. You can actually go and speak to Jeff and find out how come it's not being followed. So it's a very, very powerful tool that can actually be used. And again, we'd love to help you and show you. You can just ask Dan about that, how to actually use an organizational structure in your business. Step number 3 is all about naming the procedures that you think will be necessary for achieving your vision. And in this step, I want you to think about your business in a different way. I want you to rise up above the landscape. And in a moment, we're going to actually go into this and actually do it. But before we do that, I just want you to rise up above the landscape. And I want you to think of your business as having 4 key functions. It doesn't matter whether you're a landscaping business, a consulting business, or a Whole Foods grocery store. Every business has 4 key functions. You've got to get the business. So these are all of the processes for sales and marketing. You've got to do the business. So these are all of the processes for delivering on that promise that you made in your sales procedure. These will be processes for client fulfillment, for production, customer service, all of the processes that directly relate to what you do for your clients. And then there is running the business. These are all of the processes that go on behind the scenes, processes for invoicing, paying your bills, how you answer your phone, how you do collections, how you hire, how you fire, how you budget, how you back up your computer. It's basically all of the financial, administrative, human resource type processes and IT type processes. And finally, there are processes for guiding the business, strategic processes for leading, managing, and guiding the business from where you are today to where you want to get to. So in the simplest of terms, there are only 4 core activities that can happen in a business. You've got to get the business. You got to get the sales. You got to deliver on the promise. You've got to collect and pay for the goods and services performed. And you've got to guide and manage things. So this is your process database. This is where you store all of your processes, all categorized in 4 simple key functions. When you're naming your processes, we suggest beginning with your sales processes because this is basically where everything happens. Start thinking about how you generate leads. What do you do to convert leads into sales or new clients? What do you do to keep clients happy so they continue to buy from you? So maybe, you went in there, you did a complete landscape restructure. Now, how do you get them as an ongoing maintenance contract? For those of you out in the East Coast with snow, how do you get the snow removal contract? You might have processes for generating leads from referrals. Maybe you advertise on Google. Maybe you do direct mail, or you create strategic alliances. So this is just a list of processes that you might do. Now, we're going to do a group exercise and start creating together a list of names for sales processes in the landscaping industry. So I want everybody's participation in this if you're open to it. I also want to say that what we're about to do could be done in Microsoft Word, it could be done in Excel, it could be done in Google Docs, it could be done in Dropbox. You could even do this in 3-ring binders. But I also want to say that we've had 17 years of experience systemizing businesses, and what we've discovered is that 3-ring binders, or these other tools like Dropbox, Google Docs, they're document sharing applications. And processes are almost always more complex than a simple document, and as a result, document sharing tools, they don't work very well. It really helps to have an application that's designed specifically for this, an application that's designed for process implementation. And so I'm going to actually illustrate this next step. I'm going to use the Touchstone Business System. A couple of slides ago, I spoke about the importance of having a systems development plan, and that's the 5-step plan we're going through. I also said it's important to have a systems development tool. So the Touchstone Business System is the systems development tool we recommend. And again, this is not a demo of Touchstone. We're not doing that. We'll offer that at the end. But I just want to toggle over to a blank Touchstone account and show you how to go through this process. So where we're at here, we have a blank set of processes. Let's actually go into Getting the Business. And what I'd like you to do is type into your dashboard on your control panel of GoToWebinar. So let me know, what do you do to generate leads? Word of mouth, great. Referrals, great. Social media, great. So what you would do here is you would come up here and you'd add a new process, and you would say word of mouth. And let's make that lead generation. Referrals. Social media. Let me see, anything else? Trade shows. Okay, let me put that one in. Add new process. Okay, next question. Once you've got a lead, what do you do to convert them into a sale? So you want to convert them from just a lead. What is it that you do to move them from being a lead into being a client? Who's got an answer? Qualified. Great. Thanks, Andy. Thanks for that. And by the way, if I don't get to your process, we're not trying to create an entire list today. What we're really trying to do today is teach you a process. So if I don't get to your list, I apologize. Let's add that. Qualification. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write qualification call. Let's do a qualification call, or maybe a qualification visit. And I'm going to put that under lead conversion. What else? Face-to-face meeting, proposal, visit. Fantastic. Okay, let's put in here site visit. And that's going to be part of lead conversion. Save. What was one of the other ones? Okay, hold on a second. Proposal. Let's do proposal, return phone call, add new process. Proposal. Proposals. Yep. Face-to-face visits. That's good. Site visits, follow-up calls. A follow-up call is not a bad one, but the follow-up call would probably be the qualification call, right? So that's sort of, in a sense, it's a bit of a duplicate of what I just put in here on, because I've got this qualification call right here. Okay, great. Now, what do you do to retain clients? What do you do to upsell them? What do you do to make sure they order from you again? We call this client retention, upselling. You know, by the way, you can call these whatever you want them to be. We've just given you this template, this outline to help you think about your business. But what are some processes for client retention? We're starting to get a little bit deeper here. Sometimes it's not so easy. Provide value. So Andy writes provide value. So Andy, you'd probably want to write a little bit more about that. Let me just use that. Provide value, job follow-up call. Ooh, good one too. So we'll put that in, but I would probably want to be a little bit more descriptive on that. Provide value, job, I'm going to change that name. Let's call it a project completion visit. How about that? You actually go back out, meet with the homeowners, and see, how the project went. Let me just see, are there more here? Fulfill the contract, service information, recognize upcoming issues that are not covered. Ooh, that's a good one too. So not sure what I would write about that. But okay, this is great. You guys are getting the point. This is what you do. All you do is you start naming the processes. We've started to create a really good list here of processes for sales and marketing. And then all you do is you say, okay, what are the processes that we do for doing the business? What are the processes for guiding the business? And what are the processes for running? What are the administrative processes? The other thing that you'll notice is in Touchstone, there are libraries of processes so that if you haven't thought of something, you can say, oh yeah, we need an accounts payable system, an accounts receivable process, and a collections process. And you can actually download these processes to your own Touchstone account. I'm not going to go into that now. I just wanted to let you know that that was available. Okay, once you've identified all of the processes that are necessary, and you might not get them all dialed in, it doesn't matter because, again, remember I said this is a process. What ends up happening is you have a frustration and you ask yourself the question, do we have a process for this? No. Okay, let's create one. Now you have this repository where you can actually put the process and build it and connect it to someone who's going to follow it. So that brings us to step number 4. In step number 4, you're going to link the list of processes that you've named to specific positions on your org chart. And in doing this, you're actually creating clear and measurable job descriptions for every position in your company. And you're also creating this complete functional accountability. You've defined all of the tasks that need to be accomplished. You've defined all of the positions that need to be filled in the company. And now you've assigned all of those tasks to specific positions, so you're confident that everything that needs to be done is being assigned to a position who will do it. So let me show you how easy that is to do in Touchstone. Let me open up a slightly different account. I filled out a little bit more of the processes here. In Touchstone, here's your organization chart, and let's say I want to create a job description for the salesperson. I would simply click on the salesperson, and I would come up here, and I would say, this person's going to help me with some tactical processes in, let's say, lead generation. So they're going to help me with my referral process. They're going to help me with my cold calling process. They're going to help me with my estimating process. They're going to help me with my qualifying process. They're going to help me with my website process. And I click Save, and it's going to start building out this whole job description. In addition to that, they're going to help me with, let's see, is there a lead conversion process? They're going to help me with that first appointment, with my proposal process, with my qualification call, with my sales follow-up, with my site survey. And I click Save. And you can see now that I'm actually creating this whole process. And in fact, you might even want to put in a couple of management processes. So maybe there's a process for time management or one-on-one meetings, and you want to build out their job description. So now you've got this job description that you're creating for them so that they know exactly what they need to do. And when they open up their Touchstone account and click on their position, all of their processes are right here. And if they want to follow the process, they simply click on the process, and everything they need to do, all of their step-by-step instructions are right here. So this just makes it really easy to organize and control your processes. Before I get to step number 5, I just want to say something about job descriptions. When we're working with companies, I often ask them if they have job descriptions. And usually the answer is yes, but not for every position. Rarely are the job descriptions current because they're usually just used to hire someone. This may start sounding familiar, by the way. Once the position is hired, the job description gets filed away until a new employee needs to be hired for that position. And then they look around, they hunt around for that old job description, and they determine whether or not it's accurate. And it usually isn't. And so they update it, they make the changes, and they hire someone, and they file it away in a drawer. That's how the process continues. The purpose for most job descriptions is for hiring. What if a job description was actually used for hiring, training, managing, and evaluating? What if you took it to that level? What you're seeing on my screen right now is an actual job description from a prospect that we started working with. This is what their job description was like when we first started working with them. And as you can see, it's really nothing more than an advertisement or a hiring document. It doesn't really tell you what this person is doing. I mean, it's got what their skills need to be and who they're going to be reporting to, and they're going to have to be doing administrative duties and human resources duties, and it's not very useful. It's a great ad for Craigslist or Monster.com or something like that. It's a great ad, but it's not a very good tool for training someone. This is a job description from Touchstone. This is an actual job description for the appointment setter in our company. What if a job description was more of a position-specific operating manual, a set of instructions that you could use to actually hire, train, manage, and evaluate an employee? And because it's used to evaluate the employee, both the employee filling the position and the manager of that employee tend to keep their eyes on this job description. And as a result of keeping their eyes on it, it stays current. It becomes this fluid, dynamic tool that remains current. When these tools are actually used in the week-to-week management and the day-to-day operation of a business, they stay current organically. It's really easy to keep them up to date. It happens naturally. In the Touchstone application, because of all the processes in the database have been linked to specific positions on the org chart, the job description created becomes a list of all of the processes someone filling that position is actually held accountable to. So now when someone needs to know what to do, they simply find their position and click on it. And then they click on the specific position, and then they click on the specific process, and a complete set of instructions pops up for them on how to do whatever it is that you need to do. So now you have complete functional accountability. You have all of your processes, you have all of your positions, and you've tied them together to create position-specific operating manuals. So I just want to say again that what we just did could be done in Word. It could be done in Excel. You could use Google Docs. You could use Dropbox. You could even use paper and 3-ring binders. But these are all document sharing applications. And we've had years and years of experience systemizing hundreds of businesses and documenting these businesses' process. And what we found is documenting processes using these document sharing applications, it just doesn't work very well. What really works, it's why we designed Touchstone. It's an application that's designed for process implementation. And it's specifically developed by eMyth Mastery consultants to make it easy to organize and implement your processes. With a tool like Touchstone, your staff will be able to easily find their processes, so you can expect consistency and reliability in your business. No one can say they don't know how to do what you need them to do. They now know what is expected of them and how to do what they need to do to achieve those results. Your employees can participate in the process of systemizing your business. They can actually help you get your processes written. If someone's been with you for some time, they've probably developed a good system. You can have them document what they do. And a lot of times, it's always the employee who knows best how to do what they need to do. And if someone brings you a great way of doing something, the process won't leave when the employee leaves. I'll give you an example. That appointment setter that I hired, after about 6 months of working with me, she asked me if we used LinkedIn to generate leads. And I sort of told her, well, yeah, we have a LinkedIn account, but I don't really use LinkedIn for lead generation. She told me that she had worked with a previous employer who had developed a really good process for mining LinkedIn for leads. And she asked me, did she want her to do it for me? And I said, absolutely, but will you write it down? And so over the next few weeks, as she was doing the process, she wrote it up in our Touchstone account. And now I have it. If she leaves, I don't lose the process. Creating a process-dependent business, it happens gradually. It evolves over time. You're going to acquire more and more processes as you journey through the process of systemizing your business. If you have a repository for your processes, a place to store them and organize them so that they can be used and added to, then your employees will start to value having them. And over time, and it might be months, you're going to end up with hundreds of processes. It isn't difficult to get your business systemized. You just have to allow it to happen. If you allow it to happen, it will happen. And all I'm saying is that Touchstone the Touchstone Business System simplifies the process. So I'll say it again. Documenting procedures is not rocket science. It's simple. It's just not easy. It takes time, and it's important for your organization to think of it as a process rather than a project. It's something that happens over a span of time and continues to happen for as long as the business is alive. You just do a little a month. I can tell you that in my business, we do, I would say 2 to 3 hours a month. It's not that much. So I thought I'd come up with a couple of ways of how you might get your processes documented. One way is during the training of a new employee. You can actually have that new employee write down what you're telling them. And then you give them some time during the day to document what they've written. And then you can review it and edit what they wrote down the following day. So think of how well trained they'll be. You're telling them how to do what you need them to do. And you can be sure that they're going to be paying attention because they know that they're responsible for documenting what you're telling them. Then they're going to take some time to write it up. And then you're going to review it with them the following day. So you're engaging them in multiple sensory experiences. You're engaging an auditory experience, a visual experience, a kinesthetic experience, and you're repeating the process 3 times, once during training, once during writing it up, and the 3rd time during a review. Very powerful way to get a process written. Another way is to make a game of it, a quick story. We had a client who was a Century 21 real estate brokerage firm in California. He had 25 real estate agents in their office. But the problem was 80% of their revenue was being generated by 20% of their agents. So basically 5 of their 25 agents were getting all of their listing. So we created a contest. We took those top 5 producers and we made them captains of 5 teams. And we put the 5 youngest agents, the greenest agents, those who had been with the company the least amount of time, we put each of them on one of the teams. And then we took the rest of the people and we divided them up randomly on the teams. The contest was to deliver the best listing presentation, and they had 3 judges. One was the owner, the other was the owner's father who used to own the firm, and then the 3rd judge was the owner of the title company that they used most frequently. They were given 3 weeks to come up with their presentations, and there were only 2 rules. The presentation had to be less than 3 minutes long, and the presentation had to be delivered by the rookie, the greenest member of the team. And by the way, the business owner gave a great gift. It was a really valuable gift that was offered to the winning team. So everybody wanted to win. And there was all this camaraderie and competition amongst the teams. On the day of the presentations, there was just tons of creativity. These presentations were done really well, and the client recorded them. He actually videotaped them. He took the recordings home over the weekend. He took all of the nuggets from the presentations and compiled them together and came back and workshopped all of his agents for a couple of weeks so that every single one of them could do a fabulous listing presentation. And sales jumped exponentially. No longer was it the 80-20 rule. All of a sudden, way more work started happening. Every agent was more fulfilled because they knew how to do what they needed to do, and they were making more money. It was really, really a very powerful step. So as a next step, I'd suggest that you schedule yourself for a personal demonstration of Touchstone so you can really see how easy it is to create and implement your processes. There's a URL that I'm going to present here, bit.ly/SOD_Touchstone. All lowercase letters, no spaces. Dan, maybe you can send out an email to everybody with this link so that they can schedule a demo. Today's presentation has not been meant to be a demo of Touchstone. I just wanted to let you know that this tool is available. I want to encourage you to find out more. If you go to that address, you can register for a Touchstone demo, and we'll show you how easy it is to get your business systemized. We've been systemizing businesses for 17 years. We've had plenty of experience to know what works and what doesn't. In fact, we've written a book about it called How to Systemize Your Business. And if you register for a Touchstone demo, we'll email you a free copy of that ebook. We'll even give you a free month to use Touchstone so you can hack around in it and you can get started following the instructions in the book. Oh, and also if you'd like to see a really cool process, using your cell phone, text the letters SOD, that's the name of Dan's company, text the letters SOD to 707-800-3603. And you'll be prompted to schedule your demo with one of our systemization guides. And we'll also, we'll give you the free copy of how to systemize your business, and we'll give you a free month of Touchstone. But this is a really fun process. Oh, and Dan is also offering a free hour consultation to assist you with identifying your processes with or without Touchstone. He's going to help you identify your processes. And if you've already nailed your processes, he can help you with another issue if you choose. You just need to reach out to Dan at this email address, danp@sodinc.net. I want to end with one final thought on the importance and value of having documented operating procedures for your business. The value of your company is not exclusively based on your annual revenue or your profitability. It's also based on your processes. If the business is not duplicatable, the business cannot be brought to the next level. You just simply will not be able to scale your business. And if your company's processes are documented, when you're ready to sell, you can show these processes to someone who is interested in buying your company, and it will make it so much more valuable. Paul Lemberg, the CEO of Quantum Growth Consulting, reported that you can actually increase the value of your business by as much as 100% simply by documenting its processes. Every single system that you write for your business becomes an asset and has value to your business and to anyone who's interested in purchasing it. One final word. This is written by a friend of mine who wrote a book called The 40-Hour Work Year. He writes that, to me, the basic definition of a business owner is someone who can afford to hire an employee to do their job. Until you can afford to hire this person, you don't own a business, you own a job. We've got a few minutes for questions and answers. Hopefully we have answers. Dan, are you looking at the question list?
We're really close to the hour here.
Okay, let's if anyone wants to type in questions, go ahead and type them in. I promise you I will get to them. Dan, why don't you wrap it up then?
All right then. I hope you found it informative. And next Tuesday we've got another webinar scheduled, and you'll be getting information about that through the LinkedIn groups. Thank you all for coming.
So I just want to also say thank you. I hope it's been a valuable experience. If you have any questions, feel free to contact Dan or myself directly. Our contact information is here. Thanks for watching, and here's to getting a business that you deserve.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Dan. Talk to you later.